If you're trying to start 2025 on a good note, today is a great show for you to watch because we're going to talk to a dietitian, Howie Sim, going to drop by to talk about maybe some good habits to get yourself into. Plus, we're going to take a stop to the archives of the Exploration Place for another cool edition, a special CKPG edition of our Out of the Archives segment. All that and more coming up on CKPG Today. Of course, 2025 now, well, almost a full month in, but you might find yourself trying to be a little bit healthier this year. Maybe that was one of the goals that you set, and maybe one of the ways you're trying to do it is eat a little bit healthier. What does that look like? How do you do it? Well, we're going to talk about that with Howie Sim here from Northern Health. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so you're a dietitian with Northern Health. You work with folks on, eating healthier, healthy living overall. Where would you start? What is the most important thing a general comment to break it down for folks?
That's a really, really good question. And that's a question I get quite a bit actually from my clients. And often my first response back is, what does healthy mean to you, right? I mean, healthy seems like a pretty straightforward thing, but depending on who you talk to, it can mean a variety of things. Being healthy might mean eating more vegetables. It could be drinking more water. Maybe it's not skipping meals, or maybe it's having a better relationship with food, right? The list can go on. So, again, while being healthy sounds pretty straightforward, everyone's a little different, and that's okay.
Yeah, I started this, one of the things I started, I don't know if it's helpful for folks, but water tracking, track how much water you drink in a day.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's one of the things I struggle with. I sit at my desk, don't drink water. Probably an easy kind of, bare minimum thing. You tell people, do you tell them, hey, you should probably drink some more water? Ask them how much they drink?
Well, first off, I'm actually really happy you're looking at this water tracking thing, because having difficulty of drinking enough water is actually something I do commonly quite see, and I'm sure some of my colleagues see as well. So absolutely, drinking more water, it's a very good goal. And of course, we want to make sure things are very specific, right? You've probably heard of the old term SMART goals, right?
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Specific, attainable, measurable, the list goes on. But essentially, you want to be very specific. So, hey, I'm going to drink this much water on this day, and this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to drink 8 cups of water every day. I plan to drink, have a cup of water every hour, every other hour, whatever shape or form that takes, and whatever works best for you is really the most important thing. But absolutely, drinking more water is a very, very good goal.
And I want to talk about fruits and vegetables too here, because I feel like lots of people, of course, might be in a pinch at the grocery store, don't want to, spend a ton of money on it. Are there ways to be creative with eating fruits and vegetables? What would you say on that?
You are just knocking it out of the park with these questions, so this is really good.
I'm keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, you actually got me quite excited. So yeah, we always talk about eating more fruits and vegetables, but we're certainly not ignorant to the fact that food is very expensive nowadays. So often a piece of advice or a little tidbit of knowledge I tend to share with my clients is, while fresh can be good, you should also give some attention to the frozen section as well, where with frozen fruits and vegetables, provided you have access to a freezer, nutritionally speaking, they're the exact same. They're going to last longer as well, and they're also going to come in typically a bigger quantity as well. So your dollar for this food item is going to go longer. It's going to, give you the same nutrition, and again, make that dollar go a little bit longer. So often when it comes to getting more fruits and vegetables, if getting it fresh is not the easiest thing, then consider getting frozen, and that's a pretty good alternative. And nutritionally speaking, again, very much so the same.
Okay, so when you're making a smoothie in the morning, it's not a huge deal if you throw in frozen things versus fresh. It kind of does the same thing at the end of the day.
Pretty much, yeah. And actually might give you better texture for your smoothie as well, so it's a win-win. It's a win-win.
A win-win. I know you're a pretty fit guy as well, into working out, doing fitness. Is there a certain number of minutes or something people can measure per week or per day that they should kind of, work on, or whether it's walking, even just getting up from their couch?
Yeah, another good question as well. So while my specialty is food, I do have some knowledge for some of the general exercise guidelines. And the general recommendation for Canadians is to get approximately 150 minutes of, moderate to vigorous activity in a week.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you have to do it all in one go. Often for clients, if we're having a discussion about exercises as a collateral piece of information. We'll try to break it up again, keep it very simple, attainable. We want to set you up for success, right? So instead of trying to, get in your treadmill and haul it for 150 minutes, maybe it's instead finding an activity or a way to move your body in a way you enjoy and spread it out throughout the week. So, maybe when it's not so icy or cold, maybe a 20-minute walk outside, right? Or doing some kind of home workout, right?
Yeah, I was going to say everyone's got those walking pad things now.
Exactly, right? There you go, right? Get on there 15, 20 minutes, a couple of times a week, and you're going to make some good progress, right?
Awesome.
Something is always better than nothing.
Absolutely. And Howie brought a recipe here today, too.
I did, yeah.
What do you got on here? I'm curious here. I want to try it.
Yeah. So I will...
We'll put this on the screen online on the website as well here. But.
Perfect. So if you look at the screen, you'll see that this is a recipe for a hearty lentil soup. So often a question I get is, what is an easy meal I can prepare, budget friendly, I can make in a batch? Because not everyone enjoys cooking multiple times in a row. Again, food is expensive, so we want to make sure that a meal can go a little bit longer, but we still want it to be nutritious, right? So if you look at this recipe, lentils, if you're not familiar, are a type of legume that is very rich in things like fiber, protein, vitamins, minerals, all things that are really conducive to, having a healthy body. And in this recipe as well, you'll see things like various vegetables, you'll see some different spices, seasonings. All you have to do is put it in a pot, follow the instructions, very straightforward. Even though I'm a dietitian, I am not the greatest cook. I'll be very honest.
What?
Yeah,
what?
I know. I'm going to throw myself under the bus here, but I'm a firm believer that cooking should be enjoyable and as simple as you want it to be. And if it gets you something nutritious and tasty, then at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, right? So you just follow this recipe, put all your ingredients in, and like we talked about earlier, if you'd rather use, say, frozen vegetables, that's perfect as well. Put it all in a pot, cook it, portion it out, and you've got yourself a meal that can last a couple of days and is very nourishing.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time today, Howie. This is very educational, and of course, we'll put that on the website, put it online, wherever you can find CKPG today, you'll find this. So appreciate your time, and hopefully we got a little healthier here in the last 6 or so minutes.
All right, perfect.
Every time we come here to the exploration place, it's like opening Pandora's box. What we've been promised today is a physical box. Do we know what's inside? No, we don't. But we're going to find out together on the show today, another edition in the archives. Let's go. A piece of history deep here in the archives. To me, it looks like a box, Chad, but it's much more than that.
This is specially for you guys, Caden. I don't know why we haven't done this one before, but this is an original mixing board and mic for remote broadcasts from CKPG Radio.
Really?
Yes. So this probably would have been used in the 50s. Could have been as early as 47. That's when the radio went for five. Went on air for the first time in 45, I want to say. But it was at a different frequency. So it turned to 550 at 47. So that's the oldest it could be, but it's more likely 4750s use.
Oh, neat.
And so this would be live from location at
Boxing Day sales, whatever.
At the museum.
At the museum.
Yeah.
There we go.
And
wow.
So there's.
Is this pretty heavy here, Chad? Or?
It's not that heavy at all.
No?
You have some gloves on here.
Look
so
at the microphone.
Yeah, so you can feel it, right?
Well, it's a little heavier than an iPad these days.
But it would have been a mixer and a transmitter as well. So,
cool.
So there's the microphone for you.
No Wi-Fi required?
No Wi-Fi required. Here, let's plug it in for you.
Yeah. Now, do we think you can talk to ghosts with this?
Oh, you're really on the ghost thing these days. This is great. I love this. Are you thinking of a career change?
Maybe.
And this is really from the golden age of radio, because we forget how important radio was a lot of the time for people's entertainment, for news.
Yeah.
Families would gather around, turn on the radio with dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah, that wasn't on TV, really.
Yeah, no. Radio dramas, live bands on the radio and stuff. It's quite remarkable.
The one interesting thing I was going to say to the audience, I mean, you can't really tell, but as soon as Chad opened this, I got the smell of ancient things.
Exactly. I go nose blind to that sometimes, right?
I picked it up.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Oh.
So this though, like,
here, let's move this out of the
fairly,
way.
Yeah, I'll let you, if you want to move that behind me here, I'll do a little dance. I just want to show this to the camera, like, the amount of controls you have here, similar to what you would see today, just a little bit different.
Just a little bit more compact, a little bit different. Yeah, sure. I think really, I don't think things have changed all that much. I think if you went back in time or people came forward into the future from that time, they would be able to work their way around these things just fine, right?
I mean, if I was a time traveler, I'd look at this probably and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's the tech?
Yeah.
Today when my internet goes out. But so was this synchronized to 550? Do we know? Can you change that in here?
No. Yeah.
Dial.
To 550. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have an idea of when it stopped being used?
I would say probably the early 60s.
Early 60s,
is when it was donated. That was the donors' feeling that it was mostly used during the 50s.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. What was it like while this was being, paint me a picture. I mean, we talked about the radio dramas, that kind of thing, but what else was going on in the world that you could say, oh yeah, well, this was being used while...
I'm sure, all sorts of things. Locally, it would have been used, like you said, going down to this sale or that sale, live on location from the museum, things like that. Talking, I'm sure for politicians running and things like that for all the candidates.
Pierre Trudeau?
Maybe.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Was he on here? Maybe.
I don't think he ever made an appearance here. I haven't seen it.
Maybe not. Because
don't quote me on that, though.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to look back and fact check that. This is super interesting.
Yeah.
AM radio, a little different than FM. I'm assuming the equipment would have looked the same at the time, though, or no?
I'm sure the equipment would have looked very, very similar at the time, right? I'm sure this was a little bit of a step up after they moved out of the Ritz-Kiefer. CKPG started in the Ritz-Kiefer building in the upper floors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Before it went to that old building, I never got the chance to work
on 6th Avenue.
Yeah. So it's been in 3 spots.
It's been in 3 spots, exactly.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. The more you know.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for your explainer today, Chad. And I can honestly say, producer Zach, I'm glad we don't have to carry anything like this around. I mean, you're the camera guy, but this is cool. Thanks, Chad.
No problem.
Miss an episode? That's okay, life gets busy. We get it. Or maybe you didn't miss anything, but you're here to watch that one feature again because honestly, it was that good. No judgment. Here's the good news. You can relive every moment of the CKPG Today Show whenever you want. Head over to ckpgtoday.ca, click on the Today Show tab, and voila. So grab some snacks, kick back, and binge away because let's face it, life's too short to miss out on great local TV.
The show with Integris Credit Union. Thanks so much to Mr. David Gokul for coming in today. I hear we're talking about tax myths today.
We are talking about tax and estate myths. Thank you for having me, Caden. It's always a pleasure being here. I wanted to do today because I've heard so many crazy rumors about what people think about estates and taxes. The biggest one, I've got to have a will or the government's going to take all my money away.
I've heard that one before too.
Yes, that is an absolute myth. The government will not take your money away if you don't have a will. Now the lawyers might. No, I'm just kidding about that. What it really means is it will cost you a lot more in legal fees to execute what should have been a will.
Right, pre-planned, yeah.
Exactly.
You pay for it post when you
don't
do
pay
your homework.
big time post, exactly. So that is a big one. It's really important just to have the basics of a will and an executor, because if you don't, they have to go to a court to establish first who's going to be the executor. That's going to cost money.
Yeah.
Then you have to probate the will.
Which also takes
more money and time.
And time, yeah.
Exactly. So that's a biggie. So let me say, rest assured, if you don't have a will, the government is not taking your money. but you've made a lot of people miserable. And it's going to take a long time to fix it.
It's kind of like a Scrooge mentality a little bit, eh?
Exactly, it is. I can see that mentality. Yes. I'll get you, I'm not doing a will. So it is important to have it, but the government is not taking all your money if you don't, okay? The next biggest myth is taxes at death. There are so many people that are worried about receiving an inheritance because they have to pay tax.
Right, capital gains, or I don't know what the title of it is, but
But the answer is no. You do not have to pay tax.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to say it absolutely as straight and as pure as I can put this.
Okay.
Anyone who receives an inheritance receives it tax-free. There is no tax in Canada on anyone receiving an inheritance. That is our laws. I have heard people say, oh, well, if you're going to get an RSP, you have to put it into your kid's RSP to not pay tax. The rumors are crazy. You do not pay tax when you receive an estate. Okay? An inheritance from an estate.
Because I've heard the joke about you don't have a pocket, obviously, when you go. You can't take it with you. I've heard that joke.
That's right. So where do the taxes come in? That's the big question. The taxes are all due and payable to the person who passed away. Very simple. If you have an RSP and you die, the government has this rule called deemed disposition. They're going to deem or pretend you sold all your assets and cashed in your RSP on the moment you died.
Right, which I guess kind of happens anyway, probably when people use the money, or depending, I guess they might not. But
they might not. There's a lot of people that pass away with some very large RSPs.
Right.
That RSP is then considered to be income to the person who passed away. So in their final year of life, they're paying all the tax on that RSP. When you get it tax-free.
Interesting. So it's just like if you liquidated your own RSP, you pay taxes on that, right? Because you get a tax break when it goes in, and you pay when it comes out.
Exactly.
Same
you pay
thing.
when it comes out. So even though you didn't take it out, the government pretends you did. Mitigate all those taxes now while you're still alive. Come see me, call me, let's do an estate and a tax plan. Make sure that you're not going to be buried in taxes as long as buried in a coffin as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in today. It's a good way to start off.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're on the right
Thanks very much again for having me. I really appreciate it.
Money Matters on CKPG Today is brought to you by Integris Credit Union. From here, all in for you.
Today's CKPG Snapshot comes from Alan Lansing, and I believe this Eagle is about to take his grade 12 AP Calculus math exam. I mean, look at how dialed in it is here. Beautiful shot here, but very focused Eagle in Prince George. Maybe the thing I wonder the most about the snapshot, though, who's the Eagle looking at? It's not Alan. Maybe a treat on the ground? It's there seeing. Anyways, you've got a snapshot. Send it our way. snapshot@ckpg.com is the email. Hey there, got an idea or suggestion for the show? Reach out and connect through our social media or send us an email at letstalk@ckpgtoday.ca. Here's what's coming up in our community. First up, Primetime Wrestling returns to the Prince George Conference and Civic Center January 24th and 25th. Sink into your seats and enjoy some action in the ring and probably some outside of the ring as well. Check out the Prestige Treasure Cove Banquet Room for the Champagne Events Bridal Expo. If you're in the market for a wedding dress or weddings overall, this is a place you're going to want to visit for some ideas, expertise, and more. Coming up, the PG Conservatory's annual recital. Celebrate the hard work and talent of Conservatory of Music members and students here in Prince George, January 31st at 7 p.m. The House of Ancestors will be a cool place to be for the Model Car Show, February 1st, put on by Cruisin' Classics. Join in to some kids, some adults, some fun for all ages, and some very cool rides as well.
When you look back at history in Prince George in January, there's a surprising amount of chatter about moose. Maybe it's not surprising to you, but anyways, it is surprising that it gets front page kind of publicity. And one of them was named Leroy. You remember Leroy the moose? He's a famous moose here in Prince George. Famously liked to live around the PG Golf and Curling Club, as reports had it. We're going to look at his rescue today in local history.
Check out this shot. This is a moose that was lost at the Prince George Golf and Curling Club, roaming around town. It was in distress, some would say. In 1982, they moved it out to the West Lake area so it could be free in the wild without the stress of having to navigate through traffic, which I think was probably a good move. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Look at the rack on that moose, too. That's a big animal. So well done to the rescuers who made this happen.
Prince George, boy, what a place to live. We got bears in the summer, we got moose in the winter, and who knows else what in between. But anyways, we got lots of great reasons that we'd love to live here. I love to live here, so I hope you do too. And if you don't, well, at least you can afford to go somewhere else. That is one of the beautiful parts about Prince George too. So anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll see you for more great stuff on the show tomorrow. Bye, folks.